everyone, and welcome to Geisha TV. Today's guest joins us all the way from Brazil. He's the head of digital media and images at Brazilian Olympic Committee. Please help us welcome Alexandre Mariotto Castello Branco. We can start out by you telling us about your background. You started as a graphic designer.
Yes, I started, actually I liked drawing since I was a child, drawing and, cutting photos and pictures in the magazines and doing all sorts of collages and stuff like that. So I was pretty confident, sort of speaking of, what I wanted to do, something related to arts or communication or something like that, like this. So I graduated in graphic design. Yeah, actually, you have two options to manufacture products and product designs and stuff. And I was more into the visual communication sides of the design. So I started doing some internships and also working as a art director, doing CD and DVD labels and video clips and other paperwork, so it was really, really cool at times. Sometimes not exactly what I expected, but overall was nice. But I was working at a place, at an agency, small agency, when I graduated, and then 1 month after I graduated, the owner just decided to take a sabbatical year or whatever, and just closed the agency. And suddenly it was, without work, just graduated, was like, what I'm gonna do now? But luckily, I have one family member living in Madrid, Spain. And so I have the opportunity to maybe study Spanish. I already spoke English and Portuguese, of course, but I had the opportunity to study Spanish. So I went there. I went to this family member, my aunt's house. So I spent the whole semester. First months I was studying Spanish every day. And then it was kind of an internship or work program where you can study Spanish for 2 months, and then you work in an area that you choose to practice Spanish in an area you would like to work. And I chose sports. I was also always connected with sports, I practiced sports my whole life, all the sports like swimming, judo, basketball, running. And then I saw this as an opportunity to maybe, let's see what the sports sector has to offer. And I worked at the sports center in Madrid, the Deportivo Foxa, something like this, the name. I worked for the public relations and marketing department there. It was really nice, actually. I really enjoyed, in being in contact. It wasn't a high performance center or something like this. It was more for an everyday guy, average guy or woman. So, but it was nice. I really enjoyed it. I spent 2 or 3 months working with them. And then I came back to Brazil, and I started looking for jobs in the sports sector, because I thought it was better than, the art director, although I still enjoy a lot. I was kind of disappointed with the way it ended with my last job. So let's try something new. I love sports, maybe that will work. So I had the opportunity to do an interview with the Brazilian Olympic Committee. And I actually honestly knew little about the Brazilian Olympic Committee at the time. It was very small at the time. Today we have 230 employees here. At the time, I think we didn't have 80 or 70, so it was pretty small. And I got the interview, the job, and I started working in the technology department, the procurement and the technology, which had nothing to do with the graphic design and all the things that I graduated. but I saw as an opening to maybe once I was inside the Brazilian Olympic Committee, maybe I can, migrate to the area that I enjoyed most. And that's what happened. I was there, so I had the opportunity to create a whole new area called the Image Area to take care of all the archives of the Brazilian Olympic Committee, because it was really everything in the employees' desk, nothing really organized. You couldn't find anything, wanted to find a photo of an athlete from past Olympic Games, you couldn't find it because it was not cataloged. So I created this area to try to organize a little bit better the archives, so we can, make it public again, so people can know our athletes. So that's where I started, to make my history, so to speak, here at the Brazilian Olympic Committee. I started working as an art director back then. Then I moved to Madrid, and there I started working with a sports company. And then when I came back, I looked for a sports company as well, and the Brazilian Olympic Committee is the biggest company, sports company, so to speak, in Brazil. So that's when I kind of started, my path here in the Olympic sports, Olympic movement.
Fascinating, because Brazil has an enormously rich and very long history of Olympic participation. Any sports fan in any field, actually, and Olympic fans and historians in particular know more or less about it. But just give us a general idea of when it started, when you started to do the archives, which is absolutely mind-boggling because you were dealing with so much. Because again, the history is so rich. Just give us an idea of what that history is like. Just touch on some of the most memorable moments in what you've had to catalog and archive.
Yeah, it's crazy because we have more than 100 years of Olympic history. The first South American athlete woman was a Brazilian, Maria Lenk, which she competed in Los Angeles 1932, I guess. And we had so little, about her. We don't have we know it's a different age and etc. I have contacted the IOC and their archives, and they don't have anything. So we don't have like a great culture of valuing our idols like maybe United States has. They do it a lot. So this was one of the problems that we have here. People didn't take care of archives and didn't know the importance, to have our history told to not only to the younger athletes growing up or the average adult, but for all the generations. It's important for the young kid that's starting to practice basketball to know who was Oscar Schmidt, which was one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He's still the number one in points scored for all Olympics, not only Brazilians, participating in 5 Olympic Games. So we have a lot of good names in history, and unfortunately, lots of people don't know about it. So it was a great amount of archives. We didn't have lots of archives from past, early games like 32 or 36 in Berlin, but we have lots of archives, from maybe Barcelona and 1992 to now. So it's a lot of archives indeed. So lots of archives that was already the poor quality because they were not stored in proper way. So that was was very sad moments at times that you open a box and you saw great pictures, historical pictures just disappear because of time and for not taking care. So it was a great challenge. It still is actually. At first when I started the image department, it was only me doing a lot of work. Then I got help from another guy from that managed to be with me in the team and to cover this work. But it's a lot of things. It demands every day a lot of hours. And today we are very organized. Much more than was. But it's still the volume of photos and videos and content that's being generated today. It's crazy. When you finish, cataloging the Atlanta games, maybe 1996, then it comes a youth games in Lausanne that generates a ton of material that you need to catalog and et cetera. So it's an ongoing process. But it's very important. Last year we launched here in Brazil a project called Hall of Fame, with the aim exactly to promote and give more space for former athletes, that achieved a lot of great things, like Maria Lenk, as I said, like Guilherme Paraense, which was the first Olympic medalist from Brazil in 1920, Antwerp. So a lot of Olympic histories that need to be told. Generations need to know about it. So we did a very big project to each year elect like 8 or 10 Hall of Fame athletes or coaches. So it's an opportunity to talk a little bit more about them, their stories, show some videos, some photos, so people can actually see them, and maybe relate to them in some way. So it's an ongoing process. It's not gonna end anytime soon. So, but that's okay. That's the way it is.
The one thing that people don't realize is how incredibly time-consuming, incredibly slow, and costly archiving is. But without archives, no institution really has a foundation on which to stand on, because archives are really the foundations of, in your case, the history of the Olympic Committee in Brazil. And in a global context, because these types of games are so international and there's so much exchange, that once you have the platform, once you have the structure for the archives, as you have so admirably began to work on, it's going to be an international demand on what you have to offer, because all these athletes who competed, unless they were doing a lot of solo sports, they were competing against other teams and other countries and with different IOCs. So they're going to be needing to work with you and collaborate with you. So the payoff in the long term is enormous. But convincing institutions, whether the IOC or any other institution, like coming from the museum world, we see how it's tricky. It's tricky to get funding and to get support for the work that you do, but it's absolutely necessary and worth it. So bravo to you for initiating that. So now tell us about the Olympic channel that you have started, right? That's a new initiative. It's a new project. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the Brazilian Olympic channel, which we call it Canal Olímpico do Brasil. It's a great platform. Actually, we launched the channel in last December, so it's quite new. And the objective of the channel is to give more exposure and more possibilities to all sports. We know in Brazil, especially soccer is like a religion. So it almost doesn't count, as a sport. It's something else. They get all the exposure, TV time, and etc. But you also have some other sports like volleyball and basketball, judo. They also have some TV time. But other sports like badminton, archery, and so on, the majority of sports actually, they don't have enough TV time, and people have never seen a archery competition, for example, a wrestling competition sometimes. So the aim of the Brazilian Olympic channel is to cover that need, So sports fans can actually watch something else other than soccer, other than football. So we started to broadcast, other sports since January, February, and we've been doing like lots of broadcasts, and it's amazing the results and what people are saying, because they're like, man, I never seen a wrestling competition. My fiance, it's a wrestler. I never seen on TV, broadcast by a Portuguese guy, making some comments about the fight and the competition. So it's brand new. We have like on Saturday, I think 1 month ago, a badminton competition starting at 7 a.m. and people spend more than 45 minutes watching badminton the competition. So it's like a repressed, people want to see other sports. Maybe it's not only soccer after all. So it's a nice, small steps. We've been doing this job for like 4 months now only. So it's pretty recent, but we have been seeing great results, and especially from the sport that don't have lots of exposure. It's volleyball, it's easy for them. They have Global and they have Sport TV. They have all the channels wanting to broadcast, But when we see like a great audience from rowing, for example, people spend more than 50 minutes watching rowing on a Saturday. There's some interest there, and that open up lots of opportunities for sponsors as well. For the sports federation, they can maybe widen their opportunities and the possibilities, to maybe offer some TV time, at the Brazilian Olympic channel, and maybe earn some money and improve the quality of the training for the athletes. So it's almost like a cycle. When you give more exposure, you give them more opportunities to show their sport, to show their athletes, so people can get to know them better. And maybe some sponsors, that never saw that as an opportunity, maybe now they're seeing this as an opportunity, and maybe we start a conversation with the federation, or maybe we'll think about sponsoring an athlete from certain sports. So it's really in the beginning of the work. We have a partnership with the Olympic Channel from the IOC. They send us a lot of archives, historical opening ceremonies, and other medalists from Brazil from past Olympic Games. So it's been a good ride, tough, lots of challenges. We have a partner in TVN Sports, which is our streaming partner. The Brazilian Olympic Committee never did such thing. I think we are maybe one of the first, if not the first, Olympic Committee to have such a streaming channel like this. So it's been a great learning experience as well, to get to know, all the specific terms and the technical details of the streaming, and how to, it's sort of an educational process with the federation as well, so they have to get it, bear in mind that they have to have a good sports installation venue, with light, with internet. So they're starting to think more of a product, so to speak, for their sports, so they can like sell in a good way to the public and to the sponsors. And so it's been fun, challenging, but really fun.
That's really interesting. In terms of content for the Brazilian Olympic Channel, do you only stream Olympic history in relation to Brazil, or you're talking about, streaming volleyball games and rowing and so on and so forth? Is that contemporary? Is that what's happening now in Brazil, as well as the history of IOC Brazil?
For now, we are doing kind of a both. We are aiming at especially competitions where Brazilians are competing, of course. We have a lot of Olympic qualifiers happening now. So that's one of our aims, because people are very interested in knowing, who is going to Tokyo, who is not, and so this is one of the biggest things the audience wants to see it. But on the other hand, we have other videos, like I said, from Olympic Channel, for example. So we have all the medalists, all the gold, silver, and bronze medalists from Rio 2016. And now we are uploading all the medalists from London 2012. So we are getting back our history as well as here's the now, the live events, the athletes that probably gonna be in Tokyo, and here's our history. So it's in the same platform, so people can navigate. I'm gonna watch a live event, but maybe interesting. I think I'm gonna see this gold medalist from judo from Rio 2016. And I'm gonna watch her fight. So it's kind of a mixture of two. Of course, we aim to increment that as time goes on, but for the time being, you're trying to navigate between ages and generations.
Oh, fantastic. It sounds like you've really thought it out, like really thoroughly, rather than, because when you think you just started something 4 months ago, and obviously months, if not years of thinking and planning go into initiating such a project, and then you work through it. But it already sounds terrifically mature, and I'm going to check it out if I can online, I suppose, rather than, because we're not in Brazil. But now, can you talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame that you're working to establish, or is it something that you're ready to talk about? Because it sounds really terrific. And being in America, we have so many different halls of fame, which is a very different approach to telling the history of sports, any sport it may be. Actually, I'll be visiting NASCAR Hall of Fame and College Football Hall of Fame in the next few weeks. So I'm really looking forward to those, and maybe the basketball one. So I'm very interested to see how your approach is and how it may differ from the way we do it in the US.
Just to get back a little bit from the Brazilian Olympic Channel, actually it's a project that I had for more than 3 years. And as you said, high management doesn't always think this kind of project is important and want to invest it. So it's been years of trying to convince that this is important, and suddenly we got it. So I think with streaming, being more noticed by everyone, and all the importance they had, and people hear about Netflix and etc. So it helps our case, but it's been long years of journey to get where we are today. So parenthesis. And for the other part, for the Hall of Fame, it's a project that our CEO is Rogério Sampaio. He's an Olympic gold medalist in Barcelona, 1992. And it actually was one of his ideas to, let's value more our past, our former athletes. People don't know, actually it's sad, because if you ask anyone in the streets who were the medalists from Rio 2016, I bet probably 90% won't know. It's because we don't have a great culture of valuing our athletes. So this comes in with the idea of that, let's value our great athletes. We have great athletes, 2-time Olympic gold medalists. We have guys like Bernardinho, which volleyball coach and player. He has 5 Olympic medals. We have a coach that have 3 gold volleyball medals. So we have a lot of great history and past history as well. Guys getting 2-time gold medalists in Helsinki 52, Melbourne 56, and people don't actually know about them. So the idea is to we do a ceremony. I'll send you the links after, so you can actually visualize better. They put the hands of a Hall of Fame, as everyone knows, and we have a ceremony, you know, with videos and testimonials, and we also have a website that we are just finalizing a better version. And at the website we have like photos, videos, video of him, you know, putting the hands or the feet for like runners, and also the newspaper of the time, you know, when they won the medal. So it's pretty nice. In a page they have, you know, everything about them. It's a text, you know, of course, and with the results, photos, videos, newspaper paper covers. They also have a space for so people, fans can interact with them and say, oh, I loved you, I started playing basketball because of you, etc. So it's a place where, you know, each year we try to elect. There's a board to elect, a lot of, you know, rules and who should be elected, etc. But each year the idea is each year we have 8 to 10 new Hall of Famers, and actually in a broader project we have them physically, like a museum, you know, where people can walk and see their hands and put their hands together, like an actual museum that we see everywhere. So that's the idea. I think it's pretty important project. You know, we really should take a look at our past, you know, to better plan our future. So I think it's really important.
And I think the organizers may be surprised how I think the organizers will be surprised by how popular it will become. Because again, you know, coming from the Anglo-American tradition of museology, and which Hall of Fames are, in my opinion, absolute part of them, how popular they are with people of all ages, starting with the very young to old, much older generations. And coming from the US, I would put a word in that it's absolute worth investing every penny that they can, because it's worth it and it will pay off, as you well know yourself. Two things. One is the pandemic has posed a lot of challenges, obviously enormous, but so many opportunities as well. So you want to talk about a little bit of the challenge and lots of opportunities that the time span is allowing us to, you know, complete so many projects and works that we weren't able to before for obvious reasons.
Yeah, we here in Brazil, you know, as you all know, the pandemic hit us hard, you know, in several stages. For us, it was a challenge because we had a lot of events planned, you know, before the Olympics. We're already getting warmed up, you know, population as well for the Olympics. We had some Olympic Day planned with children and activities with teachers as well, you know, to talk about Olympic values. So we had a lot of things planned, but you know, with the shutdown of everything in home office, we had to make everything digital. We already had a good presence, digital presence here in Brazil. We have like Facebook, we have more than 2 million fans, and we have a good presence here for Team Brazil, for Brazil Olympic Committee. But all the projects, the biggest challenge was all the projects that we were planning, you know, at the streets or whatever, auditorium or the courts, we had to bring them to digital. So suddenly, you know, we saw a lot of people at work, nothing to do. For us, it was like the opposite. You know, our work and our load of, you know, demands and things like that kind of, you know, skyrocketed, because everything now had to be digital. So we have to engage with athletes totally digitally, with federations as well, you know. So it kind of speeding up some processes, and it was good actually for us, because the high management actually saw the importance of the digital communication, you know, because some of them, you know, they're still reading newspapers. You know, I still like to read the newspaper as well, but you know, I know there's a whole new world in digital, with the digital presence that we need to have now. So it was actually really good, you know, for people actually realize and see, yes, see how powerful the digital world can be, and how can we communicate with, all around the world and make some good things together, some good activities. So we had a campaign with the IOC as well. We were one of the first ones to start the campaign Stronger Together, Better Together, that's now really strong. So it was really good in this point, because people now realize the digital strategy is actually maybe could be the first one, instead of I need to talk to the newspaper, I need to talk to the other vehicle. Maybe digital could be the first one, and we've been like this for more than a year now, because we're still dealing with the COVID now. It's more than 1 year. So now every activity, every action that we think now in the Brazilian Olympic Committee, we have a closer look at the digital. So, and I think this is not gonna go back, when things go back to normal, so to speak. I think we're gonna be even more digital, from now on. We have some, for example, TikTok, the social media platform. We didn't have enough people to produce content to TikTok, to create a TikTok for the Brazilian committee. And suddenly we saw, man, we need to get into TikTok, So last year we got into TikTok, made some efforts, produce content, etc. And it's a huge success, We have a lot of fans, more than 100,000 fans in a few months, because people want to see that kind of content, Maybe if we didn't have the pandemic of all the situation, maybe we'll delay this to this media for a longer time. I don't know. And maybe the management won't see this media as important as it was, last year. So, besides all the challenges, and everyone knows the challenge, for us specifically, I think accelerated, the importance of the digital inside the organization. So it helped us promote and have budget as well to produce digital actions and activities with other sports federation, with athletes, with the IOC and others key stakeholders around us. So I think overall it kind of accelerated the process, knowing the importance of the digital world, the digital communication.
Is there anything you want to add, anything that specifically you want to pitch?
Today is a really challenging times, these times, because of the operation in Tokyo. So we are having a really hard time, trying to decide how we're gonna distribute content, how we're gonna, it's hard because we're gonna be in Japan, so it's 12 hours of difference from Brazil. It's a lot of time. So how we're gonna communicate? People would like to know about our athletes, competitions, and medals. So which are the best ways to communicate with them? And we won't have the access that we usually have, from previous games because of COVID protocol, etc. So we are really, every day is like something new, a very complex operation. And so this is something that's putting us in crazy mode now here in Rio, in Brazil.
Well, on that note, I really thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and knowing how crazy busy your schedule is. Because I can't only imagine, because reading it on Twitter sounds like, oh my gosh, it's a headache. Just reading about it. You can just turn off Twitter and then go do your thing, but you're actually in the midst of it, dealing with it. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and following Geisha and Geisha TV on your preferred social media platforms. You will find the links down below. Hope to see you soon.